Hello friends, I'm here in a park in Brooklyn. Decided to make this video for social media, just making a few points about what's taken place in Alexandria, this shooting that took place against these congressmen. You know, I don't trust the mainstream media. We don't have all the facts. There's been many times that they've gotten the story wrong, but as it's being reported now, what's being alleged is that this individual who engaged in this act of violence in Virginia, that he was himself some kind of Bernie Sanders supporter, and that he may have believed that somehow taking this kind of action would have moved the U.S. towards socialism or toward his idea of a more socialist or left-wing or egalitarian society. Well, if that is the case, he was deeply mistaken. Never have we seen socialism come about as the result of individual acts of violence. You can go throughout the history. The first broad socialist or communist uprising was the Paris Commune of 1871. This was in Paris. The workers rose up as they saw that the French government surrender to the German invaders. They did not want to be taken over by the Germans or the Prussians, so they rose up, they defended themselves in their millions and created the Paris Commune. You look at the Russian Revolution. This was a mass struggle for democratic rights against a czar, and the people rose up, they toppled the czar. In the aftermath, you had, the Soviets that were created. These were workers' councils or bodies of people that had been created by the uprising. You had General Kornilov trying to crush these Soviets, and eventually these Soviets rose up and defended themselves and created the Soviet Union. If you look at the Chinese Revolution, this was a struggle of people who were semi-slaves, serfs, peasants with no human rights, who rose up, fought for their land. They fought off the Japanese invaders, fought off the dictator Chiang Kai-shek, and eventually established the People's Republic of China. The Bolivarian Revolution in Latin America, in Venezuela, began with democratic elections. This was people running, participating in democratically elections that were internationally observed. Hugo Chavez was elected president and enacted a new constitution. You can go throughout history. Never have individualist acts of violence like this, where one person just goes out and does some extreme, crazy act of violence. Never has that ever led to the creation of socialism. And if you look at the history of socialism around the world, you can see that these kind of actions have always been denounced. And I'm not just talking about Lenin and Marx and people like that who spoke against individualist terrorism, but I'm also talking about revolutionaries in this country. You know, Huey Newton, the leader of the Black Panthers, he opposed this kind of thing. He believed people had the right to defend themselves, but he opposed individualist acts of terror. Look at the Communist Party, which was a strong organization back in the 1930s and 40s. They opposed this kind of activity too. They favored peaceful democratic struggles, though they supported people's right to defend themselves. Individualist acts of violence have no place in any kind of revolutionary movement, and that's very clear to anyone who really studies history. And if this individual was indeed someone who believed that what he was doing was going to advance the struggles of the people, he was deeply mistaken. He just did not understand the history. Ultra-left adventurism, terrorism, has no place in any genuinely revolutionary movement, and that's very clear to all who study history.